Spazzy and Planty.
Hello YouTube, Spazzy coming right at you with another champion preview. Today we're taking a look at BARD, the Wandering Caretaker. It's a support who is defined by roaming the map. You guys remember when Alistair was a thing back then? Super annoying? Well, those days are back. Let's dive into those abilities straight away. The passive is called Traveler's Call, and it has two parts of it. The first one is that ancient chimes will randomly appear on the map for BARD to collect, and these will grant a chunk of mana, a movement speed buff that actually stacks if you collect several close to each other, and most intriguingly to me, experience. Yes, they will grant experience, so this is obviously to encourage BARD to be the roaming support that Rito wants him to be. And the second part of the passive enhances that goal even more. Every 12 seconds at level 1, a little meep creature will spawn next to BARD, enhancing his auto attack to deal a little bit more damage. However, as you collect these chimes on the map, the meeps will grow in strength and power. So for instance, after you've collected 5 chimes, the meeps will apply a 25% slow, and after 25 chimes, the meeps will sort of like strike through the target in a little cone behind them, and this just keeps on going, so it's sort of like similar to the Thresh collecting souls minigame. When you get to the mid and late game, you will be able to have more meeps following you at once, they will be off cooldown quicker, they will deal more damage, and more persistent slow, etc, etc. You get the picture. If you want to make the most out of this champion, you do want to roam the map a lot and collect these chimes to enhance your passive. So, the Q is called Cosmic Binding, and it's very similar to the feel of the Lux Binding in my opinion, because up to 2 targets will be affected by this. You fire out a bolt of energy, and the first target that it strikes will be slowed, and if you hit a second target with it, both of the targets will be stunned. It doesn't have to be 2 champions, it could be a champion and a minion, and most intriguingly, it can be a champion and any wall on the map. And this, in theory, I'm thinking gives BARD a pretty enhanced ganking tool. I mean, if you roam up to the top lane, the enemy sort of usually tries to hide in the brushes and make their way back to the turret, and that's just going to make for an easy Q against the wall, stunning them up and hopefully securing a kill. The W is called Caretaker's Shrine. You put down a little circle on the ground, and if an ally walks over it, they will gain a chunk of health and a nice little movement speed buff. If you leave it on the ground for a while, it'll start building up the amount of health that you get from it until it goes boop, and that's when you reach the maximum amount of regen when stepping over it. If an enemy steps over it, it will just disappear. You can have 3 of these shrines on the map at once, and they remain there until anyone steps on them. And I mean, you can plop one down for your ADC before you start roaming, you can plop one down at the mid turret for your, mage to go back and fetch little HP if they get poked. You can also plop it down at a random camp in the jungle for your jungler to pick up and gain some health. But most importantly to note is that the movement speed is unaffected by how long the shrine has been on the map, which means that this ability also has utility on demand. You're coming in for a gank in mid maybe, you can either put this directly on top of yourself, speed yourself up and land that secure Q against the wall, or you can plop it down directly on your allied mid laner's face and they will sort of speed up to get in range of their stun or whatever they got. So a pretty versatile ability. I like it. And then there's the E, Magical Journey. This is the one that made me go, what? When I actually saw it in action. So you use this on terrain and walls, and it creates a little portal that anyone, allies or enemies, can right-click on and travel through. Allies do, however, travel a little faster than enemies, and it's only a one-way traveling point. You can't like go back and forth like a Rek'Sai tunnel. The corridor is also only there for a short while before it disappears. So what surprised me the most when I played around with this is that the indicator itself is not that long, but man, you can cover some extensive terrain depending on where you put this down on the map. And it's a super cool ability because if BARD is in the game, it kind of changes how you fight at different objectives, right? Also add on top of that this enhances even further how quickly BARD can move around on the map. And of course there's obvious ganking potential you can pull off with this. So again, an ability with a lot of different uses. I'm super intrigued to see what people do with this when it goes live. And then there is the ultimate called Tempered Fate, or as we all probably will call it, an AoE Zhonya's. So you poop out a little golden blob that flies across a quite big distance if you wanted to. And whatever gets hit, be it champions, minions, monsters, turret, baron, will be put in Zhonya mode, meaning they cannot move, they cannot do anything for 2.5 seconds, but they can't take damage either. And like all the other abilities almost, this too has a lot of different potential uses, right? If you're diving a mid laner that you know doesn't have any utility to get out, you might want to put this down on the turret, you just neglect that damage and make the dive extra safe. If you're moving in with your jungler for a gank somewhere, you might want to throw this out early to keep the laner in place until you arrive with your E and pull off a successful gank. And then there's the obvious objective delay. I mean, say an enemy team is doing dragon, you can just throw out the ultimate and neglect the damage going on for 2.5 seconds seconds, maybe buying your jungler enough time to get there and steal it from them. And of course you can save people. I mean, as a Zhonya's, let's say a Ziggs bomb is coming in, you can just boop, totally neglect that entire nuke. So yeah, interesting ability. And some final thoughts here. I think that the term we're looking for here is versatility. All the abilities here are very intriguing in the sense that they can be used in so many different ways, right? And, you know, I'm just gonna give 2 big thumbs up for Riot because that is the way I think you should design a support to make that character interesting, even though they might not have the most impactful damage on the team. And add on top of that this will be the most encouraged roamer to pick for any team comp, and you end up with a champion that I can seriously say that I'm looking forward to seeing live. I'm not sure how much I'll play him. Most importantly, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens when you bring BARD into a game, right? Because it just feels like one of those picks that completely changes how the game will progress and what you can expect happen early, mid, and late game. And, you know, I like that. I like that a lot. So if you enjoyed this little preview, friends, feel free to hit the like button. It helps me out immensely in what I do. Leave a comment of what you think about this champion. We love speculations, so go ham. Alright, if you're not yet subbed to my channel, I release 3 videos a week, so go ahead and subscribe. It's gonna be woof. I also have a Twitch stream, twitch.tv/spazzy with a 4 instead of an A, and link to all the social media jibber jabber in the description, and that is gonna be it. Thank you very much for watching, friends. This has been Spazzy, and I am out. Toots!